Welcome. It's time. Week 15 is upon us. Many of us heading into playoff actions. I hope many of you are heading into playoff actions. Hello, Scott. Hello, Andrea. Hello, Jesse. Corey. Thanks for everyone for coming. We'll let everyone gather around. There's so much news. It's so copious. I'm not going to go through all of it, but you know the top stories this week. Kyler Murray, sadly, season-ending injury, ACL injury. We'll hope that he can get back at some point early next season. Kenneth Walker avoids injury designation for the Thursday night game. Brock Purdy is questionable. So I think he will play. I think both of them will play. No Deebo Samuel in this game, of course, as you well know. Dameon Pierce ailing. Seems unlikely to play. Saquon Barkley not ailing off the injury report this week. Russell Wilson concussed. Kenny Pickett concussed. Many players concussed. Devontae Parker and Jacoby Myers both concussed. Mike White says he's going to play. He's got a rib injury. He's practiced on a limited basis to start the week. Desmond Ridder, the new starter for your Atlanta Falcons, people taking over for Marcus Mariota. All kinds of weirdness with the Marcus Mariota story, right? Hey, Remy, glad everyone could make it. Hope everyone can gather around, and I'll take your questions as always. By the way, T. Higgins, what the hell was that, T. Higgins? Limited today in practice. Tyler Boyd also limited, so we'll see what goes on with some of these pieces and bits. Tyler Huntley working on a limited basis. Seems like he's worked fully today. Sounds like he's heading in a good direction coming off a concussion. So was it fully or was it not? I should check before I say silly things. Huntley limited full participation today. Limited yesterday. It's a Saturday game, so they got to get ready quick. And there are 3 Saturday games this week, everybody, in case you haven't been following along at home. You should follow along at home. But we've got an early game. I think it's Minnesota and Indianapolis is the early game on Saturday. Then we have Baltimore and Cleveland in the middle of the day. And then the nighttime game, Miami and in Buffalo, where there will be snow. And apparently lots of it. So we'll dig through your questions. I appreciate everybody coming. If you would hit the subscribe button, I'd appreciate that. If you aren't already a subscriber. Hit the like button if you like what you're hearing. If you don't like me, you can hit the don't like me button. The thumbs down. Do it. I dare you. All right. I'll do it myself. There. I don't like this guy. He's horrible. Anyway, be sure to hit the subscribe button. Also, subscribe to the website, footballdiehards.com. All kinds of stuff going on there that you will love. I'm not going to be here Saturday because there's games on, right? I'll be on the radio, so you'll be able to get in your calls Saturday night if you have them. We'll be taking a ton of calls Saturday night and Friday night as well. Tons of calls on the radio program. You can hear me on the Sirius XM Fantasy Sports radio channel. Monday, Thursday, Friday, 10 p.m. Eastern time each night. We go 3 hours on Monday and Thursday, 2 hours on Friday. I guess on Friday we'll just do a ton of calls. Thank you, Corey. Appreciate that. Emo Catholic working hard on the back end. Really want to build this channel up, build this show up, and do a lot more with it going forward, battling all the challenges and learning as we go. Always a good time. I think we've done quite well, mostly due to Emo putting in a lot of effort behind the scenes. Been working on the sounds as well, so hopefully we've got that all dialed in. In the meantime, I know you have questions. I might have answers. If you have your questions, you know how this works. You've been here before. Go ahead and put in a first initial or name with the last name. Helps me process that information a little faster. And the team, the opponent for that week would be helpful as well. Super helpful for just to make me process a little quicker so I don't stop and who is it? Because you know what I've been doing all this week. In case you're not familiar with the website, footballdiehards.com, you should go there and check it out. But I do the team notes to start the week, and it's like a kind of a review and slight preview for the coming games, but mostly a review of what happened last week. So I'm immersed in that until about an hour before the show. So I know who everyone's playing, but I know it faster when you tell me. Thank you in advance for your efforts. And thank you, everybody, for coming around all year. I appreciate it greatly. Really had a good time interacting. It helps me understand what people are looking for, what kind of information, what players we're interested in, all those things. So I appreciate that. Now I know you want your questions answered, and I will do that. Corey Bishop wants to play Jerry Jeudy versus Arizona, Jerick McKinnon versus Houston, or Cam Akers against Green Bay. Standard league with a bonus at 100 yards. Boy, right now we don't know what the quarterback situation is going to be for the Denver Broncos, right? I don't know that it would be terribly worse with Brett Rypien in for Russell Wilson. I think one of the touchdowns came with Rypien By the way, Jerry Judy, kudos to him. 3 touchdown games. Don't touch the referees. Ah, you got to tell these kids. He won't be suspended, fortunately. But anyway, I digress, as always. So I do like Judy against Arizona. I would like him better if it was Russell Wilson, I think. I do like McKinnon against Houston. I like McKinnon any week as kind of a flex level play. Akers, like I do think he seems to have cemented the lead role, and they, don't expect another Baker Mayfield miracle game. It's entirely possible. It's not my expected outcome. This offense is struggling. Poor offensive line play. I'd probably avoid that one. I'd probably go Judy or McKinnon. Maybe you can take this out until towards the weekend, Corey. And if it's Russell Wilson, I'd be a little more confident in Judy. I might be confident in him anyway, especially if Cortland Sutton and Kendall Hinton are both unable to go, or there's signs that they're not going to be able to go, right? And that seems to be the early indications. Both of them dealing with hamstrings. I haven't seen anyone talking about Sutton returning this week. I haven't seen anyone saying Hinton won't play. But I mean, that's just a diminished receiving core. It leaves Jerry Judy right at the top of the pecking order and in a good spot against Arizona. So I would probably play that. I do like McKinnon an awful lot. Why? Because Andy Reid likes McKinnon an awful lot, especially as we get closer to the postseason. That's how he works. Corey also wants to know Tua versus Buffalo or Mike White versus Detroit. Assuming Mike White's playing, Detroit is better. Right? Have you guys noticed that? Detroit is playing better defense. Just in general, they're a better team than they were to start the season for sure. But their defense the last few games is playing a little bit better. Not great, better. But I'd play Mike White. Look, Tua, I'm not afraid of the Bills matchup. It just seems like this offense is kind of, not hitting on all cylinders at the moment. That said, if I needed to play Tua, I could, right? But there's supposed to be like 6 inches plus of snow. If I can avoid that one, I'm going to avoid that one. I think Mike White's a fine option. I mean, again, in a vacuum, I play Tua. In not a vacuum, I play Mike White against Detroit. We have them both ranked. D. McCadlick has his first opinion rankings up. He has them both in the outside the starting range of quarterback ones. I think Mike White any given week can give you either of them can, right? Just all things being equal, I'd probably lean White in this one. Jesse Levesque, I don't know if I butchered your name, Jesse. I think I butchered it before, so you're used to it. I am well. Thank you. With Stevenson, Ramondre, potentially out, do I like Zay Jones? Or do I like Leonard Fournette? Zay Jones against Dallas. Leonard Fournette, the Buccaneers are playing somebody who I think it's an AFC South team. Is it Carolina? Do I want to say? No, it's Cincinnati. See, that's why you tell me the teams, because I don't want to stop and think. Thank you. Anything going forward. So Fournette, the last game against San Francisco, tough defense to run against and everything, but he seems to have kind of established himself as a receiving component. Got way out carried anyway by Rachaad White, but ran more routes than Rachaad White. Ran 10 more routes. Only had one more catch, but still. So I think I'd like to play Fournette, given I'm not saying Cincinnati's a walk in the park, but Cincinnati's not Dallas's defense. I do, we can acknowledge Trevor Lawrence is playing as good a football as anybody right now, but the defense is not. Maybe that works in his favor. Maybe it works more for a passing attack approach. Travis Etienne Jr. not playing well either. He's been on a bit of hasn't been great. Zay Jones, 2 weeks removed from a really great game. I'm probably still going to go for that here. I see why you're asking the question, though, Jesse. Andrea, I'm good. Scott Covey, I'm good. I'm just catching up. Remy, I'm Bob. I saw these earlier, and I said something. Andrea got a bye week in one league, and 2 other leagues didn't make it. Damn it! I haven't assessed all mine yet. It takes me time because remember what I said? I was writing those team reports. That's all I did nonstop for 3 days, 2.5 days. Anyway, do we trust Kenneth White? This is a good question, and congratulations, Andrea, for getting the bye week. And I know I'm in some. I just have to find out how many. Do we trust Kenneth Walker, Scott Goby wants to know, to have a full role? I kind of do. He's practiced fully yesterday. I think that's a good sign. But honestly, if I'm sitting here, he hadn't been that great before, Scott, as you know, the 2 games prior to the absence last week. It's a tough defense, the San Francisco 49ers. You're banking on him to catch the touchdowns, right? He's kind of turning into Jamal Williams. We need the touchdown for the payoff. So I'd be looking at my options carefully. So no, don't trust him. Can play him, don't trust him. How about that, Scott? I think that's reasonable. And again, checking the options. Remy would needs my help again. No, you don't need my help. You just need to talk it through and understand the options a little better. Need one flex, one for my flex position. Marquise Brown versus Denver. Gabe Davis versus Miami. Josh Plummer versus Tennessee. I'm probably going Marquise Brown there and hoping for the best. My my thoughts on Gabe Davis are pretty well known to everyone who's been in these chats before. If you're new to these chats, let me tell you a little about Gabe Davis. Like he's a high variance player and a great offense. There's things I love about that. There's also things I don't like about that, and it's the single digit weeks that are more common than the big outputs, right? The big outputs are in him, right? He gets them. So I'm not against playing him in general, but in this case, I probably am going to play. And again, I mentioned at the top, there is no Kyler Murray. He's done for the year. But Cole McCoy is a capable, competent player, maybe one of the better backup situations in the NFL, right, for the Cardinals. And he seems to keep the offense running well. I would rather play DeAndre Hopkins, but you don't have DeAndre Hopkins. You have Marquise Brown. So I think I would go ahead and play him in this one. And Palmer, like, it's a pretty good matchup, right? So again, both Davis and Palmer, you're maybe taking your chances a little bit. Palmer, not because he gives you a lot of low output games, but he's the third, maybe fourth, maybe the fifth option if everyone's, if you throw in Austin Eckler and you throw in Gerald Everett. So that's the problem, right? I mean, there's weeks where he could flash. And Gabe Davis, again, he's had some super huge weeks and he's had a lot of single digit weeks. So I'm just going to go Marquise Brown and hope the pecking order plays out for him. Darth Tua would like to know, would I drop Kareem Hunt versus Baltimore for Elijah Moore versus Detroit? I would drop Kareem Hunt if I needed to drop Kareem Hunt. I'm guessing you're not playing him as, I mean, he's unplayable as a running back right now, right? Even as a flex play. He's just not getting the kind of workload you need. And I know last week it wasn't great for Nick Chubb. And there may be a week where he shows up and has one of those multi-touchdown games. I mean, that's hard to play those, right? It's hard to, you don't know when it's going to happen, number one. Number two, the role does not suggest it's going to happen soon. So I would probably be taking my chances and playing a lot. I would rather play Elijah Moore this week. I'm not going to be on Saturday, Andrea. I'm going to be on the radio at the usual time, except so they're switching the simulcast this week to Friday night. So I'll be on NFL Radio at the Fantasy Channel from 10 to midnight. Then Saturday I'll be on from 8 to 11, but it'll be just Fantasy Channel, but we'll take calls. So if you want to get in, you can get there. But I will not be doing this during the game Saturday because I think no one will be here but you and me. Corey Davis, thank you. Corey Bishop, thank you. I appreciate that. Iron Eddie, half point PPR. Ken Walker, or wait and have Ramondre. Don't think Ramondre is going to play. You have pivots. They would be Strong Jr. or Chris Moore. That's a lot of moving pieces. Those pieces would lead me to play Walker, right? And I know, I mean, we don't know what the split would be. And I think Damian Harris may be closer to being back than Stevenson right now. Stevenson did not practice today, and Harris was limited today. And so, a couple things. You wouldn't know if it was going to be, if there is no Damian Harris, if it was going to be Kevin Harris or Strong or J.J. Taylor be in the mix since there's a different situation going on. So I'd probably just avoid that one. And Chris Moore would be the next one, and so we're assuming no Cooks and Collins. I think there will be no Cooks and Collins. I'm leaning that way, but it's early in the week, and maybe we won't find that out till later. So, you're probably going to have to make this decision. So I might play, and I get it. Chris Moore's coming off a fantastic game. I don't know that I expect that every time, right? As well, it's career best, so I'm definitely not expecting that every time. Totally not expecting Chris Moore to do the best. And somewhere out there, my friend Sandro Anello is shaking his fist at me. Chris Moore is going to deliver. Well, he might. Maybe Philip Dorsett will. I don't know. They've got issues there with Dameon Pierce beat up too. So I'm not keen on this offense in general. They may end up having to throw it a lot against the Chiefs though. So there is that aspect. I'm probably going to play Kenneth Walker in this one, and have to depend on all these other pieces for me. How do I feel about Desmond Ridder? Robert Cantelli wants to know about Desmond Ridder, the new starter for the Atlanta Falcons, and versus New Orleans. I think it's a tough matchup, but I think nobody knows what Desmond Ridder is, and that can work to the advantage of a team. It worked to Baker Mayfield's advantage. Nobody knew what to expect from him. No, nobody knew he was going to start last week when he ended up beating. I mean, what a game! People still believe that game. Uh, so, uh, so yeah, I guess for me, and God bless the Raiders for allowing that to happen. But I guess for me, I don't feel great about it. But I do think this is a situation where maybe you can catch a little lightning in a bottle. He's athletic. He can run the ball. They have no film on him from the regular season. Don't know what the hell's going on with him in terms of the Saints, what to prepare for as much. So hoping he catches a little lightning in the bottle doesn't seem like a total reach. It seems like more of a reach I'd want to take with a one quarterback league. That's for sure. In the two quarterback leagues, though, as my second quarterback, I might. Tim Trama, hi, happy holidays to you. Lost Pearson, probably Stevenson. Have Elijah Moore, Nico Collins, Pierre Strong, and George Pickens. Need a third wide receiver and a flex, half point PPR. Oh my goodness. So as things stand right now, I'd go Moore and Pickens, and I think that'll hold up, right? Whatever the developments are. Nico Collins, don't know that he's going to play. Did not practice today, coming off a week in which he did not play. I haven't heard anyone say that he's not going to play this week, but I haven't heard anyone say he is. Or people say Damian Pierce is going to play this week. So, but whatever. I think for me, I want to play pieces that I know are going to be playing. So right now it's more in Pickens. Pickens, I would like to see get more three targets. I would also like to see more three targets. The layer of intrigue there is we don't know what's going on with the quarterback. I think it's encouraging that Kenny Pickett was on the field today. And after that, I don't know if they would. Mitch Trubisky might start. I don't know that he would finish the game. I think he would not finish the game if he was playing as horribly as he was last week, or at least turning the ball over like he did, working in relief of that. So yeah, so it would be those. Those would be my two: Elijah Moore and Pickens, and Nico Collins might rise up if I thought he was going to play, and so yeah, that's probably where I'm at. Yeah, I don't have a lot of faith in Pierre Strong. It turns out. Damn it. Chuck Bachman says, "Good evening, Bob. Quarterback model. Versus San Francisco defense on a short week with lots of concerns shared by the Sirius XM host. So I pivot to Mike White versus the Lions. I'm probably sticking with Geno. I like his weapons. He could throw the ball. Talked a little bit about not being aggressive and maybe getting a little help from the running game. I don't know that it'll get much help from the running game, but it'll get some. Get more than he got last week. I'm probably going to stick with Geno and just over the course of the season. But I do get the concerns, and I think Mike White is perfectly playable against the Lions. So this is the time for the lecture. If you have a feeling, if you don't like Geno Smith in this game, and I get why, then feel free to pivot to Mike White. I'm playing. For me, there's a couple things. Like I'm playing more Geno's weapons. Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf. Turns out Marquise Goodwin can play as well. And he's healthier, right? So Mike White goes to this game kind of beat up, so I have concerns about that. Not overriding concerns. I mean, I think he's going to play, right? So he's limited today to open the week, and I don't think anyone seems to think that he's not going to play. So I don't want to twist that up. So, but it's not a sure thing. It's not 100% sure. So I'm gonna stick with Smith, but I do get the concerns. I think more often than not, Smith has been on point. I love his weapons, and if you're going to do something against San Francisco, it's pass. Albert, good evening. Thank you for coming. Iron Eddie, full PPR. Bam Knight versus Detroit. Kenneth Walker versus San Francisco. Brian Robinson versus the Giants. Might hold out for Bam Knight in this one. Brian Robinson a little beat up as well. Everybody, by the way, was limited in practice. I think probably the Commanders who were limited today, and it was him, Antonio Gibson, a couple outlier wide receivers. Give them a little time. Not gonna worry. So injury concern isn't concern for me with Robinson, I guess would be the way to say that. Probably would still play Bam Knight. Scott wants to know if there's anyone out playing Buffalo Miami game at all with the 6 inches of snow coming in. Yes, I would play many players. And by many players, I mean the ones I want to play. And so, in the case of Buffalo, I'm going to probably play Josh Allen. And Josh Allen has not been as great as I'd like Josh Allen to be in recent weeks. Still has that rushing equity, and I think he can. I think there's great value in that. I'm still playing Stephon Diggs. I think he'll be fun. I'm still playing Tyreek Hill. Less eager to play Tua. Might be interested in Raheem Mostert a little bit more, especially if Jeff Wilson doesn't play. So, yeah, there are players I'll play. I'm not going too deep, though, Scott. That's for sure. 6 inches of snow. You were probably around when Travis Beach won the World Championship of Fantasy Football a few years back, based on some players in that Detroit Philadelphia game that was about a foot and a half of snow. And it happens. So I'm again, football is a winter sport. It's played in inclement weather all the time. Offense is produced in inclement weather. So I don't, it's not a disqualifying thing for me. It's not desirable. I'm not, totally not, pushing the narrative. I want to play all the guys in the worst weather. I'm just not going to shy away if it's the best players. And so maybe using it as a hair splitter. If I'm playing Josh Allen, but I also have this quarterback who's in a dome and he's pretty good. I think those are the kind of decisions I make. Hello, Dame. Thanks for coming. Jacob Ander, need a flex at PPR, AJ Dillon, Singletary, Fournette, or Zay Jones. I might like them in the order you have them. AJ Dillon against the Rams on a Monday night. Singletary has kind of been my preferred choice in that backfield, but as I just mentioned with Scott, I'm not eager to play people, not the primary pieces. That backfield kind of seems like it's, defining himself as like a split, right? An even share almost. We've seen Singletary have bigger games. We've seen James Cook had the one game that kind of evened out again this past week. So, I think you could play either of those guys if you really wanted to and the weather was good or better. But in this case, I'm probably, and I do like Fournette in the PPR just fine. And I like Zay Jones, but I don't like this matchup. Mr. Scampers, pleasure to see you here. Glad. Chuck Bachman, another, if I may. Of course you may. You may ask as many as you want. I will be here until the top of the hour, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. I will answer as many as I can. Standard League, Christian Kirk versus Dallas, or DeAndre Hopkins with Colt McCoy versus Broncos. If you're leaning Kirk, go ahead and play him. I think he's fine. I'd probably lean Hopkins myself. Let me see what the first opinion sheet says. Dean McCaskill has done the homework that I have not, maybe, at this point. I will do mine. The staff rankings are coming tonight, and I'll be giving them a close look. Evil likes Hopkins a little more than Kirk as well. I think we're both a little leery of the matchup, just in general for Jacksonville. It's a tough defense. So look, both perfectly viable, both in the same tier, right? In the wide receiver 2 tier. So, and I think both capable of wide receiver 1 production any given week. So feel free. I get it. Hopkins against the Broncos, maybe a little more daunting. I'm sure he'll get the Patrick Surtain treatment. So there's that. You're welcome, Remy. Terrell Helton. Elijah Moore, Traylon Burks just lost from Andre Stevenson and Dameon Pierce. My RBs are now Pacheco and Knight. Look, if I lost Stevenson and Dameon Pierce and my running backs were Pacheco and Knight, I would be damn glad. Good job on building that depth, Terrell. Or Terrell. I pronounce names. Not very. Elijah Moore, Traylon Burks, this decision might be made for you. I think you'll probably end up going to Elijah Moore. Traylon Burks still in the concussion protocol, did not practice today. The protocol is a process of increased work, then testing and waiting to see if you have more symptoms. And so, we'll see what the time frame is. Maybe if he gets on the field tomorrow, you've got to kind of graduate and do some work and then get tested. And do some more work and then get tested and be symptom-free. So I'm guessing this decision will be made for you and be playing Elijah Moore. Pat V, hey, Bob, on a bye this week. Look at you go. Look at you go. Finished first place for the 3rd consecutive years. Thank you for all your insights and guidance. No, thank you for sitting here and letting me chatter at you mindlessly as I like to do. Love to talk about football. I love that you will listen to me talk about football. I love doing it on the radio and here both. But, honestly, I get a lot of people, saying thank you, all these things. Like, I do appreciate your thank yous, but you're making the decisions. You're pushing the button. You're checking the box, right? I'm just sitting here talking through things and, giving you, hopefully giving you a reasonable perspective on what kind of expectations you should set. And maybe that's the whole key to happiness in life in general, setting expectations. The key is don't have any. You'll never be disappointed. Dame overboard. Half-point PPR. Kenneth Walker versus San Francisco. Cordell Patterson versus New Orleans, or DJ Moore versus Pittsburgh. Good news on DJ Moore. Had the ankle injury. He practiced fully. I believe, And you could throw against Pittsburgh, right? Well, even I can. I don't know if Sam Darnold can. Yeah, great to this, right? You saw it coming. I couldn't resist. I'm probably going to take the middle option, Cordero Patterson. I know it's been a pretty even split with Tyler Algier. I know it's a tough defense. Moore has a better matchup, but they just seem to want to run the ball, which I don't blame them, the Carolina Panthers. By the way, Wilkes, look at that guy go. Remember when David Tepper said he would have to do an incredible job for it to be considered, a candidate going forward, or like they asked him, would you consider Steve Wilkes a candidate for next year or for the permanent job? He said, yes, if he does an incredible job. He's doing an incredible job. This team is in the thick of the playoff hunt in the NFC South. They can win out. They control their own destiny. So we'll see. Um, Again, I digress. I think they want to run the ball and keep the passing to a minimum. The passing they do, I think DJ Moore will be a big part of, but I'd probably go Patterson here. Will Power would like quarterback help. Do I play Josh Fields if he's healthy over Jalen Hurts or Justin Herbert this week? I do not. Not over Hurts. Probably not over Herbert. Why do I think it's a great match? Oh, it's the Titans. Nah. Let me just look at what Emo thinks. Emo's cheat sheet. Emo goes Hurts number 1. He has Herbert number 4. He has Fields number 7. That feels about right to me. Remember, Fields is getting a lot of this done as a rusher and not so much as a passer, which would be good against the Eagles because it's hard to pass against them. They're very tough. That secondary. Philadelphia Eagles, as you well know. So yeah, I'm probably not playing him over either of those guys. I agree with Emil, and I think he'll be fine. He's dealing with an illness today. In case the rest of you didn't hear, obviously Will did. Dealing with a illness, did not practice today. We'll see if he gets on the field tomorrow. Also, Chase Claypool not practicing today was the issue. Also, Chase Claypool not quite up to speed on the offense, according to Matt Eagle. Imagine that. Again, if you like what you're seeing here, you can hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. Helps the algorithm understand that we're here and we're live, and I appreciate that. Love the algorithm to love me. Go algorithm. Also, go to footballdiehards.com. If you're not a subscriber there, we have a package deal for you. It's prorated right now, so you're not paying the full price. Use the promo code Diehards, pay a little bit less. You can hear me on the radio as well. It's Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio, Monday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Monday night and Thursday night, 10 to 1 a.m. Friday night, 10 to 12. Saturday, 8 to 11. Sunday, 11 to 1 with Jeff Mans on the pregame show. There you have it. All right, back to the question. Kirk needs 2 running backs in the standard scoring league. Dobbins versus Cleveland, Miles Sanders versus Chicago, and Deontay Foreman versus Pittsburgh. That is hard. You don't have a flex on Kirk. That's rough. Miles Sanders is the sure thing here. I think J.K. Dobbins is a sure thing against Cleveland, too. I mean, again, as sure a thing as you get in that backfield. The question is, would I play him over Foreman? I think I would. I think I would go in that order. I think I would go in the order that you have, Sanders, Dobbins, Foreman. Like, it's not that I'm down on Foreman. He got the 21 carries, but man, Chuba Hubbard and Raheem Blackshear are both involved as well. Don't care for that nonsense. I get it. Gus Edwards is going to be involved, but it seems like J.K. Dobbins looks like he's kind of his stride coming off that surgery. Looks like they waited long enough to get him back in at full speed. So, and he looked good. But I'm hoping he looks, and it's a great matchup against Cleveland. That's all those things. Boy, I wish you could play all these people, but you can't. So those are my choices. Miles Sanders just has hit the 1,000-yard mark. He's averaged a touchdown a game for the last 8. He's playing good football. You have 3 good choices. I hate it when you have more good choices than you have when you ask me questions like this. I like the easy questions because they're easy. Will Power, Zonovan Knight versus Detroit or Kenneth Walker in San Francisco and a half-point PPR. I think this one's fairly easy. Why, you don't have to take a chance on Kenneth Walker in this case. Zonovan Knight, I think, it's a fair play against Detroit, who was playing better defense, but not a great defense. They're not San Francisco's defense, which is very good against the run, in case I haven't mentioned it. And Ken Walker has not been great the previous 2 games before the injury. He has scored the touchdown, so he's got that going for him, but that is a volatile statistic, as anyone who's been playing the fantasy football knows. It's hard to predict those. So I'd probably play Knight. I do think Walker's going to get the workload, right? If DJ Dallas is beat up Travis Homer, maybe he's better in a complimentary role than he is as the lead back. And by the way, Adam Schefter, thanks for that Tony Jones Jr. tip Sunday morning that muddied the water. Not that either of them did well, but that was not good information. Oh, yeah. So there, I'd feel okay playing Knight over Walker in this one. Let me just see where Emil has the players ranked. Knight. Yeah, he's playing. He's playing Knight as well, unless he has Walker way high, which he does not. Yep. So we're all in agreement here. No need to take a chance. Fu Yang, Washington Bills, Jets pick one to start. These defenses, Green Bay playing against Baker Mayfield, I could play that. Washington playing against the Jets, Bills playing against the Miami Dolphins. I'm going to probably play Green Bay in this one and hope Baker Mayfield turns back into Baker Mayfield. Not the superstar Baker Mayfield. Not the Superman Baker Mayfield we saw against the Raiders. The other Baker Mayfield. One we've seen like last year before that. I like to pick on quarterbacks when I'm selecting my defenses. Game overboard, half point PPR, Bam Knight versus Detroit, or Pittman versus Minnesota. Oh, Minnesota's defense is not good. I'm probably still playing Bam Knight, but not afraid to play my Colts this week. Well, not afraid to play some of my Colts this week. Pittman would be one I'm not afraid of playing, but I'd probably still play Knight over him. Check that real quick before I say something silly. Clearly, Knight has the lead role, right? 70 carries, 71. Yeah, I'm going to play that. I was just seeing, do you get targets? You got a couple targets as well. Yeah, I'm playing Knight. There we have it. Robert again, pick three. Swift versus Jets, Rashad White versus Cincinnati, Barkley versus Washington, or Foreman versus Pittsburgh. Probably playing Foreman and Barkley for the workload, even if I don't think they're going to have great outcomes. I like the opportunities. Barkley struggled a bit. I'm not pretending he hasn't. But also, when he's playing and this week not on the injury report, he's going to get the workload. He's it. Foreman gets enough of the workload, and I think you can run against Pittsburgh, so I'm okay with that, with these options. And then it comes down to White or Swift. The Jets are pretty tough. Like, I'm not against playing Swift. Probably this is the thing, Robert. If you're playing for the floor, if you just want to avoid a zero, play Rashad White. If you need maybe an huge upside play that's capable of a multi-touchdown game, that might be Swift. If everything goes his way. Robert Mitchell, has Walker playing tomorrow? Should I trust him or play one of these guys on my bench? And this is the thing, right? I mean, trusting Walker, no. But would I play him over other options? That's where we get into the business here. And so here's the guys that Robert Mitchell is deciding on. Pierre Strong, Elijah Moore, Chris Moore, Latavius Murray, Jacoby Myers. Should I get the Damian Harris and drop one? I would get Damian Harris and drop somebody there and maybe keep the Strong option. The problem for me is Pierre Strong, I don't know how this split would look like with me. If it's he and Kevin Harris, I don't know what the split would look like. Elijah Moore, I'm pretty confident in the workload. Latavius Murray, I'm pretty confident in the workload and the horrible offense. Right? I mean, that's kind of what it's come to with Latavius Murray. I mean, he's perfectly capable. What do you do in this one? 8 carries, 32 yards. Yeah, perfectly capable of failure. Marlon Mack had a big touchdown that nobody saw coming. So congratulations to him. Oh, this is tough. I'm probably playing Walker over these guys at the moment. I mean, Elijah Moore seems to me to be the play for place. Don't know if Jacoby Myers is going to play. Did not practice yet this week or today. Start the week coming off a concussion. Maybe he gets back. It's possible, but I won't know until later in the week. So no, I don't know that I trust him. Same with Chris Moore. I mean, I think he'd be a solid play, but I think there's not going to be a Brandon Cook. They did not practice today. Cooks and Collins, neither of them practiced today. So this is tough. I'm probably playing Walker myself, Robert. And it's not an easy call because I'm with you, man. I don't trust him. Just based on the previous game. Do I have any tight ends I can recommend that we can stream this week? There are many tight ends you can stream every damn week, as you well know. Will they do anything for you? That's always the problem. I mean, as we get down to the streaming end of things, it's going to be. I mean, I could. I mean, Chico Conquo is the one that comes immediately to mind. Is the guy that probably everyone is interested in. I think Hunter Henry showed us some good upside against the Cardinals. I don't know if the Raiders are that much more daunting of a matchup. Cole Kmet I could play as long as even in a tough matchup, even as long as Justin Fields is playing. I mean, I guess Hooper's in that conversation as well. He gets targets. Kate Otten. I would love to play Daniel Bellinger if he was healthy, or Logan Thomas. I think all those guys are viable. We all know how tight ends work. And remember this when you're drafting tight ends next year. And also remember that Mark Andrews is letting you down. So, I mean, we know that there's a range of possible outcomes for everyone, right? It's not always. So, in short, there, yeah, I have a number of them I recommend. Take a pick. Bob, what are your favorite waiver wire? Who are your favorite waiver wire pickups this week? I guess if I probably go with the obvious. If I was going with the obvious, um, you know, you play Brock Purdy. Right? If you're of a mind, if you needed a quarterback, I think Matt Ryan, given the matchup, looking at Evan Tarchiano's waiver wire wizard, Chuba Hubbard got enough work. Derek McKinnon, if he's available, would be my favorite pickup, and I have picked him up some this week. Ben Skowronek looks like he'll get the bulk of the workload. Maybe Jawan Jennings for San Francisco as well. Seems like he moves up in the rotation without Debo Samuel. And digging deeper, taking chances. I'll go to Matthew Sharon's dollar store page and see if he likes Jahan Dotson. That's an interesting one. Had a good game against the Giants a couple weeks ago. He likes Pierce more so with than Kevin Harris. And are you going to want to take your chances with T.Y. Hilton? I don't know that I would, but he's probably available. Uh, so those are some of the ones I like. I like Eric McKinnon a lot. Just think Andy Reid has a thing for him, especially when the games matter more. Good asset in receiving game. So there's that. Daniel Keenan just made the playoffs, and now I need a wide receiver. Should I pick up Alec Pierce and drop Corey Davis for this week? I could play Alec Pierce this week. I don't know that it's a desirable play. I think Michael Pittman is a desirable play, but but I said that same thing 2 weeks ago when Alec Pierce knocked lit it up. So yeah, I think he's a viable play. Solid player, not a great situation. Scamper's apologizing already for a defensive coach. No apologies necessary. But you know how I roll on defenses. We'll see what you got here. After the performances of Houston's offense versus the Cowboys, and Casey looking leaky against the Broncos, man, Minnesota's been bad. But I will say, I mean, Indy looks like opportunities waiting to happen. I might, yeah, I don't want to get too far in front of myself though. I think when you're using two quarterbacks, it's an indication that you don't have any. Number one, right? And they don't have one in Houston. They don't have an actual quarterback. By the way, if you're on Yahoo, people, Jeff Driscoll has tight end eligibility because he had switched to tight end at some point last year, I want to say. So now he's back quarterback. If you're out there picking up free agents for Yahoo, might want to grab him. Speaking of free agent plays, one that might give you a little bit of advantage over the other tight ends in the field. Yahoo. I don't know. I haven't checked the other sites yet. Um, I'm not against this, Mr. Scampers, because I do think the offensive line play has been miserable. Minnesota's defense is in all that, but Ed Donatell promises they will be. I'm probably sticking with Kansas City myself, but especially with some broken pieces, right? No Damian Pierce. I'm going to stick with Kansas City. If Nico and Cooks don't play, Chris Moore to be a start, he could be a start, yes. And I think that's the it would take for me to start him. We've heard, rumor has it he can be very good when that happens because he was very good. Career best game, though. Remember, his previous best was like 5 catches, I want to say. So, I'm just splash cold water in the face of Chris Moore. He's been around a while, just hasn't done a lot. But opportunity matters. It is the Mr. Scampers. The Panthers and Jaguars, both legitimate chances to win their divisions. It is a great time to be alive, sir. Dr. Antoinette Hemerick, happy holidays to you. Chris Moore, Devin Singletary, or Jamal Williams. I'm probably playing Jamal Williams out of that bunch. I realize it seems like it's increasingly tenuous that role. Um, Singletary's is as well. There's going to be bad weather. That's not scaring me off Singletary so much because I think he's more just a runner, and I think there'll probably be more running in this game in Miami in Buffalo if there's 6 inches of snow. And Chris Moore again. Maybe if you're taking a huge swing for the fence, and even at that, I think Jamal Williams is a huge touchdown leader. That's where I'll go. Anthony Vanderborn, happy holidays to you as well. Thanks for coming. Appreciate your time. Ken Walker versus San Francisco, or Chris Godwin versus Cincinnati, Alan Lazard versus Rams, Raheem Mostert versus Bills, or DJ Moore versus Steelers. So on the first one, I'm probably going to play Ken Walker, but I don't think it's so close to it. I mean, I don't think there's a wrong answer here. If you have a hunch that's not my hunch, differs from my hunch, go ahead and play Chris Godwin. I mean, Cincinnati's playing decent defense, but not like San Francisco run defense. It's been really good. Um, so yeah, the PPR. I mean, maybe Chris Godwin maybe feel like he has a better floor. I could get that given this matchup. I play Raheem Mostert versus the Bills if there is no Jeff Wilson, and if there is, I play Alan Lazard. Not that I don't like DJ Moore. Not a huge offense in general. Thanks, Bob. I'll include the opposing teams next time. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Just I can figure it out either way, but just trying to facilitate and get more questions. Graham F. Hi, Bob. Hello, Graham F. Is Chris Moore, Texas wide receiver, worth an ad? Yes, he is worth an ad. And if you picked him up, yes, he's worth. I mean, he's in that conversation. I mean, Slayton didn't have a great week last week, but was that due to the coverage? I mean, he took the bulk of the, in a tough matchup, and Richie James kind of made out, it's kind of an outlier play. I think in general, I'd probably rather play Slayton of this group. But if it's concerned, and if there is no Nico Collins, then I think Moore deserves to be in that conversation. Again, last week was the best game of his career, so don't expect that every week. But expecting him to be wide receiver one in a lousy offense, yes, which is what Darius Slayton kind of is, right? And Elijah Moore's a lesser option. And again, against the Lions, I mean, it's a good time to remember and remind everyone that the season is an evolution. What was in September is not now, and things change incrementally over time. And Detroit's defense is incrementally getting better. Not great though. So Elijah Moore is still a viable play, as long as Mike White's quarterback, and I think this week. So I'd probably take this one out and see what's up with Cooks and Collins. We'll know that Friday afternoon. If they draw questionable designations, then maybe I'd turn away. And my preferred options would be Slayton and then Moore. Chuck Bachman does feel like Jamal is TD or bust. Williams is cooling off recently. It is true. Your thoughts going forward with more Swift time? Well, so more Swift time was not much Swift time this last game. I want to say I probably have the numbers in front of me here if I wanted to bring them up. Swift, 50% snap share week 13, 33% last week. Williams was on 38%, a little bit higher than the previous week. Justin Jackson, 30%. I mean, this is almost a three-way split, but that doesn't change the point of your premise is Jamal is kind of a TD or bust guy. Also, he has 14. But I do agree. I think he's cooling off a little bit. But I don't know if the Swift's getting hot. I think the split's getting worse. So that's kind of where I'm at on that. I'm probably still playing Williams as the lead piece of this because he gets the more fortuitous looks at the goal line because he's very good at those. And Swift, I think, is a playable flex, kind of a home run kind of play. Capable, and I don't know why Justin Jackson isn't in the conversation. just because he's the third wheel. Also, flex spot. Jamal versus Jets, Kirk or Hopkins. Oh, going flex spot. Jamal versus Jets. So it's a pretty tough matchup for Jamal. Pretty tough matchup for the Jaguars. Pretty tough matchup for Hopkins. All those things being equal, and also you've got the additional layer of Hopkins dealing with a new quarterback. I think, I don't think Colt McCoy hurts DeAndre Hopkins. I think his quarterback-proof card remains in place, which he earned during his time in Houston with many players. I probably go Jamal Hopkins then Kirk for me, Chuck. Yes, Mr. Scampers, it was bad info, but there was a silver lining. Uh, And it didn't scare me on or off. I kept my shares of Homer that I had playing in my DFS lineups. I kept my one share of Tony Jones in the one tournament I had him. I did not win that tournament. That Millie Maker was not mine. The 10-foot pole can give me touch Seattle backfield last week. Some of us like the 10-foot pole. Start two of pick three. Jonathan Taylor versus Minnesota. Miles Sanders versus Chicago. Saquon Barkley versus Washington. ETN versus Dallas. What the hell is this? Start two. What kind of nonsense is this? I play them in the order you have them. Maybe Dobbins ahead of ETN. I'm playing a Conquo, not against Dulcich, but I'm playing a Conquo. And I've been holding Goddard on IR. No, he's not too big a risk to play if he's active. If he is active, I want to play. Would I play a Conquo instead? No. Even if Burke plays, no. But I do like a Conquo, man. He's coming on, right? I mean, he's kind of a piece of this offense that you can. I don't want to go overboard, but he's a different kind of character. He caught every pass thrown to him last week, 6 catches, 45 yards, touchdown. Doesn't include a 2-point conversion. He caught with one hand, pinned against his face mask. Kind of one of those. So, like, I think he's a good play. I want to say Okonkwo ran 21 routes, 63. He's not running as many routes as Austin Hooper, but they know how to use him. So I guess trying to keep it in perspective a little bit and not getting this is a problem for us as fantasy managers. We like the new thing, shiny new object that comes in the frame. Fish, throw the lure in, we will chase it. But Conco is a pretty appealing lure. Dulcich, what did Dulcich do last week? I thought last week without Cortland Sutton, Dulcich would go great guns. Got 8 targets, only caught 3 of them. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think he's perfectly serviceable. I would probably, I think either of them are good plays. I'm probably leaning a Conquo just because I like him. I think he'd be a nice athletic play. Darth Tua says it's his birthday tomorrow, so I really need your help this week. Okay. Happy birthday to you, Darth Tua. How many years is this, Darth? Like a quarter of my 1,000, or where are you at? Better start this week, Dylan or Brian Robinson? Slightly into Brian Robinson, assuming he's healthy and ready to go. Rodgers, Goff, Ryan, Tannehill, Geno need one quarterback, full point PPR. I could play Ryan. I could play Rodgers this week, and I could play Geno. Those are probably my two. I'll see earlier you can say doesn't like him as much as I do. He likes Smith over Rodgers. I probably would like that as well. Half point PPR, Nicholas Robinson says. Hello, Nicholas. Pacheco versus Houston, Barkley versus Philadelphia. Probably playing Barkley. I know it hasn't been great, right? So I would probably still play Barkley, right? I mean, I'm hoping that he's a little healthier. Very light workload last week, 38%. I think maybe they were trying to preserve him a little bit for this game, which is essentially a playoff game for them. So I'm gonna play Barkley. Or Walker versus San Francisco. Probably still Barkley there. I could read down the question. Graham F. Iron Maiden or Def Leppard? Not even close. Iron Maiden, for crying out loud. Not even close. I like Def Leppard too, but it's not even close. Got a few more minutes for your questions. If you have them, pile on, and I'll get to as many as I can before the top of the hour. If you can't get them to me, remember I will be not here Saturday for more questions. But Jamie and Eric, I believe, will be available. Email, you can, if you've heard otherwise, let me know. But for now, plan on a DFS lineup show. Be the usual time if they move it. You can watch that in the Twitter feed of the at football at FF Diehards, and I'll repeat that if it's out there. So there's that. Saturday DFS show is on 9 p.m. Eastern time. Be there. Aloha. Not so much. You can catch me. Yeah. So usual time for the DFS lineup show. Saturday 9 o'clock. I will not be here Saturday at noon o'clock because there will be games ongoing, and I think no one else will. Uh, yeah, I see a Ted. Bill and Ted's excellent adventure line in there. Excellent. So yeah, and I'll be on the radio though, answering questions on Friday night, Saturday night, 8 to 11 Saturday night, 10 to midnight Friday. Happy to take it, and we'll be taking a lot of calls. I know on Friday night that's part of the plan. Tony Laswell and scoring only league. Would you go for Rashad White or Pierce's backup? Sorry, is it Rex? Rex is not good. I don't know. I'd probably go with Rashad White in this one. Darth Tua has one more. By the way, happy birthday to you, Scott. Monday. Scott is cashing checks. I know this for a fact. Big win the other night. So this past weekend. Congratulations. Start to a last one. Pick three. Mike Williams versus Tennessee. Chris Watson versus Rams. George Pickens or Elijah Moore. So Williams and Watson for sure. And then after that, I'd probably go Elijah Moore for a nice floor play, but any of them are fine. You're not too late, JR1616. I'm still here. Got a few minutes left. Olave versus Falcons or Najee at Carolina in a PPR. I'm going to go ahead and play Najee, and I do acknowledge the matchup is sweet against the Falcons. And I don't dislike. I think Najee's been pretty damn serviceable the last few weeks. So watch the injury report on him. He's dealing with the hip injury, oblique, whatever they want to call it. I don't think they're telling us exactly what it is. Got the touchdown last week in a tough matchup. I thought that was fine. In the weeks previous to that, he's been pretty damn good as well. So I'm going to probably stick with Najee here, but I do get the desire to leverage that matchup. Najee, 88 yards against 13. He gets targets as well. Just double checking my math here. Yeah, I'm going to do that. By golly. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for coming. We always appreciate you showing up. Appreciate you all showing up every week. All the regulars. It's been joyous and looking forward to finishing out this season strong. We'll see what happens on the Saturday shows. I know what the next show, there's a lot of games on Saturday as well because it's Christmas. So I probably won't do a Saturday that week. But maybe we'll see if we can't make some adjustments to schedule so I can get two sessions in, if at all possible, before Christmas next week. But this week, just tonight. Now that the season's over, what's one thing you will change in drafting in 2023 from 2022? I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you this because I was thinking about it again. I think one of the things that, one of the lessons that we've learned is that the NFL values wide receivers way more than they value other positions. Well, quarterbacks and wide receivers, maybe both of them. I'm going to be going a little bit earlier on quarterbacks and wide receivers. Maybe dialing back a little bit on the running backs in the early rounds. Maybe focusing more. Maybe getting that star tight end, Travis Kelce, as long as there's a Travis Kelce level player, a guy that gives me that much leverage. I'm going to focus a little more. Not going zero RB, but maybe a hero RB, but maybe starting with the wide receiver position. Just feel safer. And why are teams valuing wide receivers so highly in quarterback? Well, because they pass happy offense. So over the course of my time playing fantasy football, these have been major changes, right? There used to be the feature back. Everything went through the running back. We had these two feature backs in the 80s and the 90s, even the 2000s, and it started shifting. Teams started using more running backs. Yes, it would. It certainly depends on what kind of league I'm in. But I'm just thinking broadly, putting more value where the NFL puts value, right? And like not every team is. Like some teams are saying, okay, we'll trade our superstar wide receiver, let him move on. But other teams are saying, I'm going to pay for those guys, the Miami Dolphins. And by the way, though, one of the GMs who traded his wide receiver away just got fired. So maybe that tells you where some of the ownership is as well. But I just feel like there's a reason the teams are placing the higher values on wide receivers, and I think it's because they're more important. But Tony is definitely right. It does depend on your league and how you build your roster in general is a big part of that. Chuck Bachman has another actual question here. Everett versus Tennessee, Cole Kmet versus Philadelphia, Dawson Knox versus Dolphins. Probably the order you have them. Maybe Knox ahead of Cole Kmet, but maybe not. But Everett far and away. How to change to draft in an auction? 200 budget. How to change to draft in an I like auction drafts. They take a long time. So I think it's hard to get people together for them. I'm not sure I understand the question, but I do like auction drafts. I'm faring extremely well in my best auction draft this year in the Kings Classic into the playoffs. I think I have a bye this week. There's when I'm in the playoffs. I crushed that. But yeah, I do like auctions, and I don't know. I'm waiting, Andrea, to see if there's more to this question, or if you're just making a point here, because I'm trying to think of, one of the things I've done, because I started out horrible in auctions. Because why? I was the price enforcer. I was aggressive. Got to be able to read the room. Well, playing with a super smart group of people, you're not going to price enforce easily. So being more patient in auctions was what I learned, and it's really paying off this year. So the lessons I've learned in the last couple of years playing in the Kings Classic auction in a room full of super sharp players is to be patient, very patient, like Brad Cruz patient. Brad Cruz, go find his sit of starting. Thursday edition available on the Football Diehards website, and he'll have multiple editions up this week, as he always does. Also, Drew Phelps prop bets will be up, and tons of DFS content. Go heavy on the bid. And by the way, the cats are fantastic. Thank you, Scott. How to change the draft actually go heavy on the bid. Um, I'm struggling, Andrea. I'm probably confused. Oh, it was your first draft. It's not connecting. Um, one more piece. Thank you, Dr. Antoinette Hemmer. I appreciate your time as well. Thanks everyone for coming again. I'll be back next Wednesday. You can catch me on the radio all week. Thursday night, 10 p.m. to 1 a.m. Friday night, 10 to midnight. Saturday night, 8 to 11. We usually do the simulcast on the NFL channel, but since there's games, they're swapping that out. So we'll do the simulcast Friday night for 2 hours. We'll do a regular show on the fantasy channel from 8 to 11. On Saturday night, I'll do the regular pregame show. Then Christmas, I'm on the radio a bunch. I think Friday night, Saturday, I think I'm doing 2 shows on Saturday. And then I'm doing a show on Christmas Day, a special show with Justin Fensterman, Christmas Day. So there we go. Have to come up with a name for drafting Kelsey early. Oh, that's smart. That's the name for that. Turns out he's gives you leverage over the field. Man, Mark Andrews has been struggling. All right, everybody. I think I've taken all the time I can. I appreciate you all showing up once again and showing up every time. Tune in Saturday night, 9 p.m. for the DFS lineup show with Jamie Calandro, Eric Romoff. They do fantastic work. Hope you listen to them and enjoy that. And in the meantime, I'll see you here next week, this same time, 7 p.m. Wednesday. Oh, start TPJ or Waddle. Ooh, that is treacherous. I don't want to outsmart myself, but Donovan Peoples-Jones is not the wrong answer if you have a hunch. How about that? We'll close it out.